Hey, welcome everybody to the Battle Pirates Crib. Um, did anybody else drink a bottle of vodka and relocate to Alpha last night? I don't remember doing it, but it appeared to happen. But we'll talk about that later. Let me go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right. Father George,
Evening, everybody.
Dr. Death,
Hello.
Cannon Fodder,
Good evening.
and this is Hefe. So we're going to touch a little bit on the little raid review, a little sector consolidation, some new FM prizes, and some new FM issues. As far as last I heard, have not been fixed. I haven't checked anything in about 45 minutes though. But
Kickstarter rolled out and said that one of them was fixed. One of the issues was fixed, but not the other.
which issue was fixed?
The not being able to hit the center building in the 120s and 121s.
There's actually been a couple of things that have been. I know the stuff they've been working on because I found a whole ton of bugs, but they're also. It looks like the autoing part may have been corrected, where it would start if you guys were autoing. I don't know if anyone does the 121 and actually watches it. You would hook around the left and then kill something there, and instead of going to the turrets that are to the left over there, to the upper left there, it would go all the way around back to where you'd started and start the other way. That one was corrected. I think they may have done the stacking on auto at least. I'm not sure about when you're regularly driving. I have to try that. And what else did they got? And then the center
I've only
island.
hit the center island, and is that stacking issue? It's not like the normal stacking issue from what I saw. It's sort of a different stack. Is that in all the targets? I've only hit FM targets today.
It's an AI thing, I think, because what's happening is you're clicking a spot and the fleet's going there depending on where you are, close to that section. It's like it's targeting the spot instead of just putting you to go there. And once you get close enough and you get them stacked, the stack actually stays more or less.
Once I got them stacked, it was fine. It was just getting them.
On auto they'll have a couple that'll peel away once in a while, and I think they're still working on that. Do you want to get into the slides first, and we can cover all this when we do the FM, or
sure?
How do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to put you on present, Dr. Death. And we got some bug fixes. You can go there.
Okay.
Not there. Okay. This wasn't originally listed as a bug fix, but drops from the FM targets, the 120 and 121, will no longer come in chests. They'll simply drop as shards. So that's great news, because that was sort of silly.
A lot of people were upset about that, and they listened.
Yep.
Super annoying.
Yeah, there was no reason behind that one. Glad it's fixed. Payout screen has 0 titanium awarded for silo targets.
I'm not sure if that was just a visual or if you were actually.
You were still receiving.
You're still getting the titanium, yeah.
You weren't seeing. It wasn't. It was saying 0 on the pop-up screen that comes after you kill the target. But if you went into your base, you did have the titanium. So it was.
That's what I thought.
So glad it's fixed. People that were autoing it probably never noticed it. Unable to target turrets and structures behind portals. Was that a new does that mean if you click? Yeah, does that mean if you click behind it, it just didn't know where to go?
Yeah, it's one of the old original ones from when the portals came out.
Okay, we're sort of used to that one, but okay. I guess I'm glad it's fixed. It's I guess it's easier to click to the back of the base this way, right?
I guess.
That also is going to affect the autoing. Because remember, when it first came out, when that bug first came out, if you let your fleet auto and it wouldn't target things behind a barricade, so you could end up with your fleet just sitting there. You don't start the target, and your fleet, if they had a gate on the outside of the base at the entrance to their channel, your fleet wouldn't go in. Your fleet would just sit there, wouldn't attack.
Yeah, that's sort of the same category. If you're autoing bases, yeah, I mean, I guess this is relevant to bounty.
I'm talking about the NPC bases and bounty.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Game crashed when fleet is launched. I didn't get that one. Anybody else?
No.
Okay. All right, we have some more, but don't click yet. Secondary weapon is doubled in the stat block. This will make it appear that certain damage stats were cut in half. This is visual change only. This does not deal with the blueprint itself. It deals what shows up in your shipyard. If you could click one time, Dr. Death. Okay. The one on the left was what I put together for the Friday show. I think the Friday show. These are both equipped the same. The damage on the left you see is 2,800, and the damage on the right is 1,400. This is also impacting things such as your Inferno Dragons, which is a whole different issue as far as the way our damage display shows up for that, because it's sort of based on nonsense after I looked into it. But that's what this means. There was some sort of miscalculation as far as how the damage stat just under attack is being calculated. It goes from 28K to 14K.
It's just doubled because of the weapon that you're using on that. That's what it is.
Yeah, because the secondary, like I said, the secondary damage. This is a primary. The primary is a countermeasure, and the secondary is the missile.
And the primary has the multi-shot. That's what it is. That's what does it.
But there's also an issue. A lot of people, a lot of people are also seeing a damage reduction in their Inferno Dragons in that stat section. Because
really? I haven't seen that one. What is it? Okay, what is it that they're seeing?
They're seeing a reduction because I don't know. We could get more into that, but but basically, we saw this earlier because we couldn't figure out how the Inferno Dragon was calculated on that damage stat, and it appeared to be calculated based on the per chance the what is it the flame thing. What's that called? The thrower looking thing that it shoots out
on the
Inferno Dragon.
The Dragon's Breath?
Yeah, the Dragon's Breath.
Okay.
That was actually what shows up in your damage. It's not the primary, it's secondary. I guess it's whatever's greatest. So
I hadn't noticed that one.
That's sort of messed up, but I don't know. If you probably have screenshots of old builds, and I would compare it to new builds, with put stuff in your blog and whatnot. You might have take a look. You might have some stuff to compare. So I guess it's enough for bug fixes.
Sure.
Let's move on. We've about an hour and a half ago, we got our pre-built Proto Apollo. I didn't get a. Did you get a? I didn't get a pop-up. I just had to go look for it. But I think Dr. Death, you said you got a pop-up.
Yeah, I got a pop-up for it.
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. Did you get one, George?
I got an email, and refreshed the game.
Okay, but there was no pop-up in the game. There was no pop-up.
I didn't see a pop-up, but I honestly, it might have been I just kind of like zoomed through it just to see it and make sure it was there before I posted it. So,
yeah.
I'd like to say something though while we're looking at this. People, stop bitching. Oh my God, I've seen so many people whining that a pre-built hull is supposed to be fully built. I don't care. Kicks, I gave it to you for free.
Well, I mean, technically, a pre-built hull would be a pre-built blank hull. A
Yeah.
fully built hull would be a fully equipped hull. I mean, I'm just saying, semantics.
If you really get down to semantics, pre-built's impossible.
Right. All I'm saying though
When
is
it's delivered to you, actually, that's not true. When it's delivered to you, if it's in pieces, it's not pre-built. But if it's delivered built already, that is pre-built when it's
that's
delivered.
true.
It's built before when they click it.
Delivery.
Okay.
Okay.
But the bottom
We're talking like some sort of IKEA situation here, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna have Deadpool come out soon and tell us that we got
It's
the
either
wrong
built or
fucking
not
one.
all I'm saying is stop whining. Keeks, I gave it to us for free.
Well, I'm going to whine about something else, but yeah, because we have an 80-day build time to put a fleet of these together. But we're going to talk about this later.
And
I got
I'm not
the
going to talk
answer
about
to
the
that one
wording. I'm
already.
going to talk about the whole, the
The
whole
whole thing-
issue with the Proto Apollo.
Hey, Hefe, the Proto Apollo they gave me, it's got the weapon, the special, and an engine on it. It came with Strike 4.
Well,
Are
you're
you
just
joking?
special.
Yeah, or you were.
No, no,
His was pre-built.
I'm guessing there was a mistake.
I built 4 Proto Apollos, and after I saw the thing, I put the weapon, the special, and I put the latest strike system, the missile one on there, right? The engine on.
Yeah.
And when they gave me my new one, I went into my shipyard. I've now got 5 that are built with the engine, the missile, and the special.
And why'd you do Strike 4 instead of Strike 5?
I mean Strike 5, not Strike 4. I was thinking the latest one, the newest one we got.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure who you blew to get that, but I'm assuming it's operator error. So, because did anybody else get Strike 5 on theirs in chat or wherever?
No, it sounds like Dr. Death got that special
He's-
bug that once in a while. Do you remember? That's an old bug from like way back when. And it happened once in a while. I mean, there was sometimes when people. Do you remember there was that one guy that got something like 12 Goliaths or something?
Yeah.
All in his. I mean, there's. Yeah, I don't know. You lucked out. I'd shut my mouth and just keep going. I mean, I don't know.
Or say it on a live show. Either one.
Yeah, let's say it on the live show so everyone knows. I mean,
I didn't know it was a damn bug.
No, they just felt like doing something like that for you only.
Yeah.
Dr.
I was thinking everybody got it.
Dr. Death Hacks version 1.0.
Yeah, .com. Look it up. All right, let's go. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Proto Apollo later. I just wanted everybody to know to look for it in your shipyard because you didn't. A lot of people didn't get a pop-up. VXP weekend, another month, same story. I don't know why they took out the double on the elites or the salvages. I don't. They've done this a couple of weeks or months in a row, but you're getting. We're not going to let you get 20 VXP when you're required to get 100K. We're going to stick you at 10. It's must be some technological thing in there, but they had it working for years. I don't know why it can't be a balance issue, but the only issue that I have with this, it's the same as last time. It's you should be able to. Well, you're not going to be able to because our current do explosive and concussive. But if you're trying to rank up your Proto Apollos, they do penetrative. So hopefully you're able to do enough damage to the ships to get your minimum, but they're not going to be very seaworthy. Which leads me to another topic. This is the last VXP weekend we're going to see in this raid cycle. The assumption is that we're going to now, after the next event, we're going to be winning whatever they're going to, the next siege hall. And the siege halls are intended to kill buildings. And for some reason, they've been unable to award VXP for buildings, even in VXP targets. I understand there's some glitches, or not glitches, but potential exploits with people's bases and whatnot. There has to be a workaround. make something look like a turret, work like a turret, but have it assigned as a ship, or create a new class or something that's not in people's bases or whatnot, because it's defeating. It's not enjoyable. To your best experience is just to go suicide your ships into a target. It's not enjoyable to probably 99% of the players. There's probably people that like pain and like disappointment and whatnot, and they may like this this VXP weekend during the siege cycle, but I don't think most players do. Any thoughts on the siege cycle?
I have no idea what the hell they're planning. We'll see.
Yeah. I threw out I threw that out as a potential improvement, but we'll see. All right, let's well, does anybody have anything in general on DXP weekend?
Yeah, I don't got to do it this time. I'm psyched.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm gonna do my Occam's razor, and hopefully it's well equipped enough to do what I did last time, where I threw on a triple salty, and then I would go out and just trigger the protonems, and then kill the protonems, and then move on to another target. And I wasn't taking that much damage, so I could hit a ton of them, and I wouldn't engage the normal ships, and just wait it out, retreat, and go from there. And just don't dock, because then your crew needs to be renewed. So, alrighty.
I want to say something for everybody that's got the Proto Apollo. If you can get a couple of weapons on them, then you should be able to do the Earths.
Okay.
So why would you build the Proto? I'm waiting until the Proto Apollo section, because I think it's absolutely pointless to build those.
Yeah.
But
unless we get more communication. But we're gonna talk on that.
Yeah, let's get down to that part.
Let's get to that. Let's skip ahead.
Oh,
to the next one. Whoops. Well, I guess somehow the animation broke. We're getting into sector consolidation.
Dun, dun.
But basically, this is the base reaping part. But it still appears that there's banned bases.
Yes, because do you want to wait until we get to? Can we get rid of that so we can see the base reaping part?
We can't get rid of it.
Okay. So what had happened with this, I believe it's two different functions that were doing the reaping, and the one that they ran was the inactive bases. And this, because a lot of the banned bases, some of the banned bases, I know someone was like, oh, there's one that's been banned for 5 years, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Why? And it's because it wasn't part of the entire reap. They had a couple of different things that they were pulling because they didn't want to take off inactive bases, and they didn't share the criteria, but there was certain ways that they were going about it. They are going to actually go back and go through a couple more layers to see if they can get rid of everything. So their intent is to finally get rid of them, but right now there are some that slip through the cracks, which is more of a better safe than sorry method to make sure we didn't lose anybody that actually played. So
yeah, okay. And potentially, I think he merely got banned for his name. So there's that part of it as well. I guess we can move on to the next one. Dr. Death. There we go. There's still 5 worlds, despite what I said, that you might have drank a bottle of tequila and accidentally relocated to Alpha. It's not what happened. They got rid of 80% of the sectors in each world, and stacked them. Click. Death. In this sort of method, I got another one after this, so we don't need to get to yet. But basically, whatever your last number is, if it started with a if it was an even number, and then whatever your last number was, you got sent to one. If it was odd, it got sent to another. I could see certain benefits to this sort of thing, but this is what Kickstarter provided us, and it seemed to confuse a lot of people because of what actually happened is click Dr. Death.
They actually did say that chart was just an example.
Yeah, but a lot of people got confused. That's why I wanted to put this, this more recent, the chart I developed. That basically, we only have, sectors are numbered from 1 to 100, 1 through 20 alpha, 20 through 40 is beta, so on and so on. So the worlds are split every 20 at this point. So it works out. It would have been harder to explain in one single chart and probably would have caused some amount of confusion. So I don't have any problem with it. I just saw a lot of people posting on Discord and, and whatnot that, how did I end up in alpha, all this kind of stuff, and,
I mean, we're getting like 2 jumps a day, so something like that. Just who cares? Just find where you want to go and go. Although, don't jump to Serpent Soul, because apparently every single sniper is there with him, so I'll avoid that sector, thanks.
What sector's that?
Yeah.
I don't know. He just said that every sniper ended up in Alpha World where in the sector that he's in, so I think I'll avoid that sector.
And it seems like there's an extreme difference in some of the sectors. The sector I'm in, and it sounds like Dr. Death is in as well, are still extremely dead.
Yeah.
And while,
Sector 4, FYI. Yeah, see, so I think we discussed this a couple weeks ago, and I said something along the lines of I could probably see them cutting this down to just 10 sectors of world, because if you think about how long it's been since they reaped, it's been a long, long time. And sectors, if people remember way back in the day, held a lot more than just 300 people in each sector. So there are still going to be some dead sectors. I honestly feel that they probably, looking at how much everything changed, if you scroll through everything and kind of jump to a couple of different sectors, they probably could have went down to 10. So I don't know. I mean, that's a
but it would have
lot of
probably
open
been
water.
difficult. That probably could have been difficult based on how the really active sectors getting mixed in. That might have been a problem. So, and what I saw is it wasn't who you were grouped with. It appeared that they took all the players from the 5 sectors and then tried to evenly distribute them across the entirety of the sectors. That's the way I saw it when I woke up from my tequila haze. I don't drink tequila. Because it was basically, I'm saying it's dead. There was I looked around and there was like 2 to 4, like 3 to 4 bases around each SSRB. So it even looked deader than it was before because of that. So, anything else on sector consolidation? But besides the fact it didn't have as many problems by itself as we thought it would. It did last a long time.
Who is we, Kimosabe?
What, you were sure it was going to work out well because the code always works out perfectly?
I think this one is just a straight up numerical conversion, and it's really hard to fuck up that.
Well, the update took 7 hours, and it appeared that they kept up CM Chris the entire time.
I think what they were doing also, because I know everyone was freaking out about making sure you took pictures of your stuff and this and that. I think they were also running backups the entire time too. Like there was a lot of stuff that they did to make sure that it went well, or at least better than most people apparently expected it to. So there was a lot of stuff going on in the background, and I think that's part of what it was. And I mean, things have changed. There are some issues here and there that definitely probably tie into something else that we don't know about or something, but we can cover that when we get to the FM.
Yeah, because it's like they managed to pull this off, and we had no worries about the FM. But okay, if we're done with sector consolidation, let's go. Oh, well, I think we have one more slide. Nope, no more.
Didn't they say it was
yeah,
going to be 2 jumps per day now instead of just that one?
I didn't see that. That could be true. I didn't see
I'll
that.
have to go check. Someone said that they had posted
reset
something.
Well, they reset them early. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, they reset them because I had 6 hours and then it went to nothing. So.
Okay.
So I don't know if they'll continue to do that, but I mean, we were reset already today.
I mean, I know a lot of people tried to jump to bookmarks and ended up in limbo. So I know
that's why they did the reset.
Yeah,
that's why they did the reset, because of that.
Well, some people are getting the error that their fleets are out, so they can't even jump back like they were supposed to. So I think they're working on that as well too. So.
Well, if you go to the global list on some things, you'll see people on like sectors that don't exist anymore. It's like, hey, what's up?
Yep.
That's. I'm assuming those players are. I don't know. I'm assuming they're banned.
It's a new way
like
to keep your medals.
The certain list that you're talking about is a list that I'm assuming they're banned, and so they're still in those sectors. But yeah. General conversation about Dragon's Lair. I've included some slides afterwards that includes some of the technology, not all of it, the blueprints that we got that I had questions about. But I'm guessing at this point we can talk about the general experience of the raid, the damage increase. And George will talk about autoing anyway. And so, what's everybody's thought on the second out of 3 of the skirmish cycle?
I'm trying not to sleep. So I have several thoughts, and part of it kind of ties into the FM too, though, because we have those, more escalation weapons and stuff. And, in the past, most of the time when we got the escalation set weapons and stuff, we would it was essentially getting a bonus for investing the time and effort to get those prints and refit, right? And now it's more of, I think one of the because I've had so many damn messages today about the damn FM. It was like somebody had said something along the lines, or essentially the gist of it was, you're running and running and running to get ahead just so you can stand still, right? And that's exactly what it is. Like if I put these things on my hulls, I should get less damage in the next raid rather than the same damage that I got, or worse than I got in the last raid.
Yeah.
And the disparity between the targets was very apparent last raid, because if you went and hit, all of us, I think most of us were hitting the 100s and the 102s instead of the 104 and 106. I mean, I could auto those things and get more points for the damage invested than if I was doing the S targets. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. And then 2 raids in a row to have, last raid within hours my build was negated entirely, and then this raid within, I think, what was it, like 3 hours, we were refitting because things changed again. And it's not just like if they had a little knob and it was turning the damage up like a percentage or something overall, or you had pass through going up or something, then your builds wouldn't get as affected as much. But whatever they're doing actually is specific to something, because I end up having to refit. And most of my builds, and I know everyone likes to make fun of me, I build weird builds, or I do edge builds, or whatever the hell it is that people want to call it. So I tend to be affected more than a generic vanilla build. But see, that to me, that's part of the point of playing the game, was trying to always outsmart and figure out things, so that way I could get an advantage. And if I do that, if I've done my job and I've figured something out that gives me an advantage, suck it up for the month. Don't come back in and negate it, or raise the damage or something like that. Let us have fun.
Well, my 2 cents is this: real simple. I'm a coiner. I spend money on building these fucking ships. And if I've got all the ships, which I do, and I got all the top tech, which I do, and I even had I fucking got 20 of each of the items out of the fucking Halloween special. So, you know, I'm sitting there pretty with the best of the best, and I'm having to fucking hit down to be able to get my race done.
Were you getting the same damage as last? Were you getting the same damage as last
initially
last raid?
Yeah.
See, and that's kind of frustrating because if you go and you got all those gales and then the anti, torpedo stuff, which didn't even exist in the last raid, but we're taking the same damage. And I think that's the frustration that a lot of players, at least from what I saw today, are saying, because it's, it's you're running like crazy at breakneck speed just to stand still.
Just to be where you were.
Yeah, and it's not.
If you don't put these new specials on your ships for the next raid, you're fucked.
Basically,
well, the other thing too, though, is that makes it seem as though the things that you're doing or trying to get the stuff is devalued because you're not really getting a value out of it. You're just trying to remain static.
You're trying not to lose ground.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't want to bust my ass just to stay floating. If I'm busting my ass, I want to get ahead.
Well, it's the never-ending escalator this game has been for a long, long time.
Yeah, but before it was like a couple of steps up and a step back, a couple of steps up and a step back. Now it's like 5 steps up to find out you're still on the same step.
Yeah, because it used to be I would have an advantage if I had when I would get all the top tech, and be running my fleets. If I got it, I got an advantage. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But now I'm not getting that advantage that I used to get.
Well, look at the bright side.
I went into this raid with both fleets fully built, decked, sculled, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Both flagships and both fleets.
Me too.
So I could play around and do any setup I wanted, and I still could not find a setup to get my damage down, even though I was running all the top stuff.
Should have done the hundreds with the bat rays.
Yeah, that's what
I got it down. Yeah, I got it down to less than 10 minutes of damage per.
That's what I ended up doing. But what I'm saying is, George, I should not have to fucking step down.
No.
If I've got the best of the best.
Well, and they made it basically impossible to even do it otherwise. I mean, the damage went up so bad the second day, it was just ridiculous. It was just out of the blue.
Oh, that's stupid.
I mean, it was bad. It was bad enough that it was the same. Like I kind of expected lower damage. I mean, I don't ask for a lot because I don't like to be disappointed. So I just keep my expectations pretty low. But to have the same damage, I was like, okay, well, at least I had the tokens. I got this stuff. I got it done. Cool. So then, I got a bunch of points the first day. The next day, because that's what I try to do, because I know something's going to happen. So I try to do as much as I can as soon as I can.
Yep.
So then the next day comes, I go to hit one, just like whatever. I don't even pay attention. I just click, hit it, go what I'm doing. I go look at my fleet. I'm like, wait, how many did I hit? I'm like, I only hit 1, didn't I? Well, I coined it thinking I'd hit 2 and hit another one. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, no, that can't be right. So, and I tried to refit to get back to where I'd already been, sent in a ticket, did all that because it was just appalling to me. It was insulting, honestly, given the effort and time and money I put in to try to be, as well
top
as
of the game. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's the thing is that every single one that because I've gotten inundated between yesterday, last night, and today. I mean, I woke up to a ton of messages, and the ones that are kind of addressing this, once they saw the FM prizes, just every single one of them has that same underlying current of, I'm not even getting ahead doing all this shit. So why am I busting my ass in the FM to get this stuff that is just going to make me stay at the same damn place I was last raid? And it's a good point. I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, that's a player's perspective is, if I'm going to be doing this, I want to get, when I get better stuff, that should mean that my stuff is getting better, not staying static or worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Static is bad enough, but worse is just even more insulting.
Yeah. And what else on this whole scenario is really pissing me the fuck off and I'm getting sick of it?
Oh boy.
Limited fucking shit.
Yeah.
How long is it going to be now before every ship we're going to have a shard, 5 shards to get 1 limited blueprint for each ship? You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
and also don't see the outcome of that shard. We'll talk about some of the ones where I'm like, where would I use that? You know,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like some of the stuff like those Gale 4s, you know, they want to introduce that into the game. And I understand that, yeah, you might want to have that limited, but do it like a Gale 3 or something, because the way that the use for that anti is so prevalent throughout the game that you can't just do it the way they did, because now a lot of us that were running the heck out of the special weekend thingy, we have a ton of those. Like I have them on a ton of stuff already, and it's a distinct advantage. And the problem is the people that don't have it are now at a disadvantage. It's not, I don't know. Certain things like that I have a problem with. If it was
here's where my problem comes in though, George. You know, once they get the metrics in and they see that the top players that do have that tech are taking and getting that advantage, you know exactly what Kickside is going to do.
See, I think that there's a caveat that needs to be there, because that's your fault, not mine, because I did it with no coin. I got all my shit with no coin with just knowing how to do the targets. The people that are blowing shit tons of coin to get half of the stuff, that's where they're looking at, because that's what's making them money.
No. I'm just talking
about the damage.
Because I didn't spend hardly anything on Halloween weekend. That was fucking a breeze. That was actually easy. No, what I'm talking about is when they look at the metric, because, you know, they expect a certain amount of playtime. They expect a certain amount of damage. And according to what they said this past raid in Discord, the reason why they adjusted the damage in the last raid was because they have a metric that they go by so that they can establish a challenging target.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if the 2.5 billion was something to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what's the strategy? Does if everybody banded together and autoed the targets the first day without your flagship, and then create
good luck with that.
Throw off the metrics. You know what? I mean, I will say, yeah, I guess I could admit this now. It's been long enough. I mean, there was a point in the past where there was a concerted effort to mess with the metrics purposefully on some stuff, and it actually did work. So yeah, they actually do look at that kind of stuff. So if alliances want to get together and kind of do that and just kind of throw stuff off, but the problem is it's not like they just look at it once and just go, oh, okay, we're going to set it and forget it. They watch it throughout the whole weekend. So you might pull that off on the first day, but then the second day, they're going to see everybody going in and like all the damage is going to be half of what it was, and they're going to be, they'll figure out what the hell happened.
Well, yeah. Another issue with
what I'm saying is now all of us, because all the top players pretty much did the Halloween weekend. We've got those specials. We're using those specials. Quite a few of my fleets already have the Gales in them. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to see those metrics where we're not taking the damage we used to take, the damage they expect us to take. You see what I mean? And when that's going to adjust the metrics, and then of course Kickside is going to say, okay, now we've got to adjust the target.
Dude, where have you been for the last 20 minutes? That's the whole running in place hard enough as you can, and you're still in the same spot. That's what we just talked about for 20 minutes.
No. I've taken it to the next level, George. I'm not talking about staying in the same spot, because me and you will stay in the same spot. But now the guy next to you that doesn't have those Gales,
is that a disadvantage?
Are you talking about me? I'm the guy next to him.
I mean, that's the whole that's the disadvantage that we just said.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, though. Because it's stupid.
All right.
Should we start talking about some of the individual tech and move on? Let's move on.
Yeah,
let's click it on. All right, Proto Apollo. 10-hour build on the hall, and we've seen that we got a semi-built one for free if you claimed the hall, the special, and the weapon. Just one of each. To build an entire fleet of these is going to take you about 80 days. I have not heard anything in months from Kickside that there is going to be a SSRB associated with this. The more questions I ask, the more it seems that there is not one in the works. You know, besides their weird video that said that this was an SSRB, when they tried to explain it to us, but is anybody familiar enough with some of those targets to realize if that's an SSRB or something else? You know, in the damage comparison versus the mana cores?
No
Or
idea.
I didn't study it well enough, and I've not been.
No idea.
I've not been hitting these TLCs because they're way overpowered.
Here's the reality. It's an 80-day build. You can build the Cadies for 30, and honestly, I would rather auto shit on the map than hit some SSRB with. I mean, I have better things to do with 80 days. I could actually take some of that time and, you know, upgrade the damn thing, because that's 2 weeks right there.
Mm.
You know, yeah, I don't really see a need for this. Because I can just do the damn map targets.
Yeah, you have a Cadies, and people are talking about the expert build. So it goes from like 16 days down to 13 days. Yeah, and we have not got the tokens, the 7-day tokens that are required to.
And
get
who
the
wants
expert.
to? Yeah, and who wants to actually tie up your shipyard for 2 weeks straight?
Yeah, it's they missed something along the way. I think they're just putting out the previous GD's group's trash. You know, the idea that the previous group came up with. They're sort of putting out the trash. Is the way it looks. I'm not certain, but it appears that, you know, they're leaving it on the curb for us to pick up.
Well, I'm building these because, well, one, my shipyard's empty because I've already got both of my raid fleets done. So I'm just doing this to be building them. Plus, I don't know what Kicksai's got going in the future, but God, what are you going to do if you've won the blueprint and you're sitting there with it, and in 2 weeks all of a sudden a TLC drops that only the Proto Apollo can do?
Yeah, but we also have. How's your Proto Centurion? How are you? You know, is it doing well for you? Okay, okay.
I got 5 more holes, but that's all they ever did.
I know people that are doing awesome with the Proto Centurions.
Doing what?
You can
all sorts of stuff. The SSRB. I've seen a couple TLCs run with them.
Which siege TLCs do we have?
Oh, there's one last month, I think. The month before that.
Okay, 2 months ago. Okay, yeah.
So
spending 80 days of build time for a TLC.
Oh yeah, they use them in the SSRBs all the time.
Okay, I mean, is it worth it? You know, because I can hit the 103 for base parts, and you know.
Now that's the question, because I think they're doing it. Yeah, they're doing it.
With my hydras?
I think they're doing it with for like 10 minutes of damage. But
okay.
I just auto the damn 103s with my hydras and fucking walk out with like what, 3 minutes of damage for each one or something.
I actually built the prototypes, and they were helpful when I had myself, another player with hunters, in the SSRB.
Yep.
But now I put my bat rays in there, and I get 6 minutes and 7 minutes of damage by myself, and get 130 uranium. And my prototypes are just sitting around because they've been,
superseded.
Yeah, superseded really quickly. I mean, pretty much right after I built them. I had about 3 weeks where they worked, and
this has been a long-standing concern of the community, is the shelf life of hulls.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone's gonna be like, "Oh, but they're still good and they still work." But why if you have something else? Like, I think what Tank just said in chat, that the Katie's on it's up the way out the door. It's not. I'm gonna be using that until they change the map targets, because I can auto those damn things for 6 minutes of damage. I mean, why would I build a Proto Apollo?
The titanium targets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Katie's going to be good even the next. They're going to have to lock it out of the S sets next year too. When they designed it, they designed it broke. So every year unless they stop blocking it out of everything, and then people are going to get all pissy. So
yeah, I mean, my hope is that next week we're going to see a TLC with about, I don't know, 40 days of build tokens at least for this thing. I was hoping there was going to be build tokens in the raid for this because it hasn't been marketed well, and it's a long build time.
Oh, come on now. They are offering sales for tokens for this.
Yeah, that's true. You can buy tokens for this, but that is true.
all right, do we need to talk about the Proto Apollo anymore? I mean,
I think you talked that one out.
It's a lame duck hull. That's what it ends up. It's a lame duck hull. So let's go.
All right. Okay. All right. Come on. There we go. The multi-form missile. This is an upgrade on the Switchblade. So
I'm definitely going to try this on a couple of things just because I loved the Switchblade.
You love the Switchblade, but it has a weird mechanic.
It does. It does. And if you can get around the mechanic, or at least know how to manipulate it when you're in the target, it's an awesome little weapon. It will fall on its fucking face if you don't pay attention to it, though. So there is a kind of give and take with that one. I don't know how it is with this because I don't know that I'm going to have anything that has these on, but I'm thinking of maybe refitting a couple of things on just to test them out.
I want to bitch about this.
We're not surprised, but go ahead.
I'm sure.
No. They reduced the build time on the hull, right? So it looks really nice until you start looking at the weapons and specials and stuff for the ship, which they increased the build time on.
Yeah, we discussed this last week.
It's the same build time as the missiles that we had with the Mana Core. Same build time, but it's still, but it's still really long for the for me. It's my third tier 7 assault hull. It's my third one, because I have I have missile mana cores, I have scattergun mana cores, and now they're asking me to build this one. So yeah, it's I'm just the total time because having scatters and missiles is helpful, despite what they say. But yeah, it's the same build time.
So Switchblade 2.0 next.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if it's taking fire, it's not going to fire, but it deals with the reload time of what's firing at you and yada yada yada. We haven't seen if there's going to be new targets associated with it. And the other issue, sort of related to the Apollo and this, is how they cycle in and out the TLC targets. Are the assault TLC targets going to be gone? But for a lot of people have these built. Are you going to hit them with mana cores, and now I'm going to be hitting them with my bat rays and my razors, the vast majority of them. And the assault targets will be for lower level players to catch up. I'm not sure, but there has been a lot of communication associated with this. But yeah, we can move on, Dr. Death. This was available through shards from the 106 target. I am not a Razortail driver at this point, so I'm going to leave it open to everybody else. Is this going to be good on your Razortails? And where else would you want to use it?
Not going to use it. That simple. Not going to use it.
It's just the 20% wouldn't be much benefit, versus the other stuff that isn't going to help you much at all. So.
Mm-hmm. That was my thought on it. Dr. Death?
Yeah, I'm not using it.
Okay, let's move on then. I do like this one. You can earn this one through shards on the 104 last raid. I refit my bat rays, or not all of them, one of them, and made it a countermeasure ship with the Cormorant, the anti-torp weapon, and the Gale 4s. And it was quite effective at evening out the damage across the across my fleet. Since everybody knows that the flagship or whatever is in the #1 spot in these raid targets is going to take way more damage.
See, I didn't see that in mine.
You didn't see any difference?
No,
or you didn't
I
see
didn't see.
the
I didn't see the
damage?
damage on the #1 hull.
Well, you were autoing
No,
them,
no,
so
no.
that's
I
all.
drove. I don't auto everything. I autoed and drove. I had both fleets.
Mhm.
I mean, I said I was doing the bats in the hundreds. You can't auto those for 10 minutes of damage. But I didn't even drive, and I didn't really see. There was 1 or 2 occasions that I would get a lot of damage on the flag, but for the most part, it wasn't all. I mean, it took a little bit more damage, but it wasn't as like the disparity was not as huge as I was seeing on like forums and posts on pages and stuff. I mean,
Yeah. Mike says it's almost 10 times on the flag. Does anybody
yeah.
else?
See, I wasn't seeing that.
Yeah, there must
But
be something different with your build, or
probably the way that I drive.
Yeah, maybe because I'm not. Yeah, it could be. But I found it was an equalizer. The Cormorant is not very accurate, and it has the mechanics similar to the Phalanx, where it fires at the incoming
Once.
projectile once,
Yep.
and will not retarget it. Not like the Gales, where they'll keep on firing at it.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm kind of curious. In the raid, when you guys were taking all the damage on the flagships, do you guys usually wiggle the fleet after you stack? Because I know that's a really old thing to do.
I do the little straight ahead thing, so to get them all pointing in the right direction and kind of stacked up a little bit better.
But you don't do the little wiggle left to right.
No, not really.
See, that might be it.
It didn't really make a difference in that for me. But this raid, I didn't notice as much difference. And I think the actual flag did better than the previous. But the issue on top of that was I also built the flag solely like heavy evade, as strong as I could get it, because I saw such a difference in damage. So it might be because I didn't build the other 4 that way. I didn't refit them because I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that I'm thinking of is I want to say way back in the FM we were having a stacking issue where one hull was taking more damage, and the way that we had worked around it was doing that little wiggle, and it's just something that I've always done, kind of like second nature, because of that. And now that I'm thinking about it, that might be part of why I saw a difference. Not even the driving or anything. It just might have been old habit.
I mean, it might
especially where the stacking thing is clearly an issue now. I mean,
it didn't seem to matter though if I would go in and stack or if I just let it run on auto. It didn't seem to make any difference. I mean,
well, I'm talking about the bat rays.
Yeah,
the razors I just autoed.
That's what I use is bat rays, and I just autoed with them. I never finished my razor tail fleet.
Yeah, but if you autoed, it was always the damage was always even across the fleets. I never had a problem with that. We're talking about when you stack. Oh, see, that's weird. I mean, when you stack and drive, that's where everyone's seeing that huge disparity in the first.
That's what I'm saying.
Hull.
It didn't matter for me if I stacked or if I didn't.
Right, but you were autoing.
Correct.
Right. I'm saying the people that are noticing the disparity in the flagship are the ones that are driving.
But I'm saying I had the disparity initially until I built the flag specifically to counter that disparity.
Oh, I don't know if I never saw a disparity like that when I autoed.
Well, I did every time. Every time. That's why I built the flag the way I did. Because I had 5 going into the previous raid. Because I think they either gave us 1 or I don't remember what happened, but I ended up with 5. I'm like, well, okay, I got 5. And so I ran the raid that way, and the flag was always, I mean, the lead ship was always taking, almost twice the damage or whatever, the predominant amount of damage. Again, your main thing that was hurting you was the torps and those subs. So I built the fleet or the flag to counter that, and figuring that was also what was happening, I didn't see any sense in adding evade to the other 4. Probably wasn't going to have that much effect to be worth the time. So, and I noticed that as well. So that's what I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to argue. Your point, I'm sure, is just as correct. It didn't matter whether I went in and stacked it or if I just clicked the attack and, ate a Pop-Tart. Didn't matter.
Okay, I didn't expect that part. But,
Wait, what kind of Pop-Tart?
The fudge ones are pretty good, and then there's s'mores ones. They're pretty good too.
Yeah,
So,
I'll pass.
let's move on
are
to
you more of a strawberry guy?
No, brown sugar cinnamon. I like those.
I don't like those. There's something wrong with you.
No.
Right. Has anybody
Well,
seen
actually, maybe. I don't know.
Reconstruction Matrix in action? Why I called it interesting the original time was I'm curious about how this is going to react in base defense once it's fueling.
It works very interestingly.
Okay, how so?
Because that's exactly what I did with mine.
Okay, with the EMP blast, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that works out kind of. Yeah, it's kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I made sure I loaded up. Like that was, I think, one of the first things that I did was I bought all of those.
Yeah.
So, yep, fun times, fun times.
Okay.
And
right.
now here's the thing too, though. If you're looking at this harkens back to what we were saying in the pre-show, is that when you're looking at the tier 7 stuff as a whole, part of the design is I think the use of all those CMs that we have, and this actually would let you kind of set up so you kind of do that whole mixed fleet type of mixed builds on the fleet to get you through a base to get to the back end and kill stuff. So yeah, it offers a lot of variety just in one special, so it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to come into its, it's good for base defense right now. And if you're a good base hitter, I can see this right now being good on a base hitting fleet. A lot of players would not be able to utilize this for base hitting, I don't think. Your top end base hitters could utilize it and utilize it very well.
I could tell you right now, I know exactly how to use this in the base hit to just completely fuck people up. I can't drive it the way it needs to be driven. I will say that right now. So
you see what I'm talking about?
Oh, I have already designed what you're talking about. I mean,
I think after the refactor, this may come more into its own.
The theory is the same, and before or after, it's going to be the same. The usage is going to be the same.
If they stick with the line that they were looking at in the test server, that's why I'm saying, because they're decreasing the damage and increasing the health on the ships. This could become very interesting at that point. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of the parts that I haven't had a chance, because I haven't refitted to anything at this point in time, but it appears that once you put the EMP blast on something, it divides your total health points at the beginning of the battle into segments. And it appears that with this, you could slightly overcome a segment and then hit that segment again, or line, or whatever you want to call it. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I saw is the interesting part.
Oh, yeah, because you can keep that EMP going off over and over again.
Yeah. That's the...
Ideally.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not it works, I'm not 100% sure. I have to go back and actually check. But
it does.
There was some interesting stuff going on in those base hits.
Yeah, it does. It does work.
All right. And then...
Did Cannon leave already? Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah. He just left. He
didn't like my...
us. I guess.
Yeah. I guess he wanted to go get one of those fudge Pop-Tarts.
Okay. I'm not sure what that's about. But,
oh, no. He's apparently a fudge lover.
No, I think the wife keeps him in line, which is good. We don't want him to, getting out of line. But yeah, everybody's already had a chance to claim them, but this seems to have multiple uses. And who mentioned it? David mentioned the fact that you could use this, and it's got only has a 90% efficiency. Does it matter as far as it's not working like the Hydra? That's the part I found. I mean, is that correct? I'm trying to figure out the logic of basically just sitting in somebody's base and letting it
heal you like cuddle. I mean, that's what we used to do with when the gluttonies first came out. We're all
but
jacked up.
This has like a 90% efficiency, and but it's given directly its health to somebody else at 90% efficiency, and but how would you find an advantage of that? You're actually extending your repair time.
Well, that depends if what you're repairing and what the repair coefficient is. Because if you're bringing in
other ships besides,
if you're putting it on, like, say, a blank Conqueror that takes 30 minutes to repair, and putting it in a fleet with all armored hulls, what's better repair?
Okay. As an example, you could take an onslaught with one of these in there, and hit somebody next to you with your mana cores. Is it going to transfer that health to the mana cores?
See, now that one I don't know, because it does say that the special is limited to Conqueror and Defender. I don't know if that also is inclusive of the special effect.
Put it on the special. I'm trying to figure out the advantage.
No.
It says in the text, it actually says it's transferring health to just Conquerors and Defenders.
Okay.
But it's not limited. But that's not. Yeah, it's in the flavor text, but it's not in the stat block, and that's going to be kind of interesting. So, if it does happen to work for anything else, y'all cannot report that.
Yeah, it'll last for about 12 hours, and if it's
until someone reports it. Yep.
Yeah. Alrighty. But yeah, remember, blueprints are.
That probably means you shouldn't tell the TFC, but
more impressionistic art than anything else, because it has to work. They had to think that through. So, alrighty. Okay, so basically, what people are talking about is that you have an old ship that's got a lot of armor that you haven't refit them, but okay. I get that. Should we move on to the new FM prizes? This is a special, only available for the Brennus. I've compared it to the Hydra explosive casing that we got, I guess in the raid originally. But yeah, we see decent improvements. This one does not go into your retrofit lab. You only need to put it on one. It costs 2.5 million points, and we're getting reports that Laredo is actually Santana. So that's also in chat. So
did it say Santana or Santa?
Well, Santa, nah. So however you want to read that,
Santa.na.
Yeah. Not applicable. So, I mean, claiming this and putting it on your Brennus can't hurt, right? I mean,
I'm not even
using the board.
I'm not even using that special.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, I'm using the concussive. What the hell was it? The other one that gives you more. Overall, it gives you more damage than the critical would.
Okay. Alrighty. You want to say what it was, or should we go on?
I can't remember. I'd have to open up the game and
Oops, this isn't the breast. This is the Occam special. I'm sorry, I didn't change the
That's
This one does go to the Retro Lab.
I was gonna say I hope so, because I was doing the numbers and I was like, dude, if this does not do better than the regular wave diver, I'm gonna be really upset. But now looking at that, I'm gonna tell you, this is gonna make me refit my Occams. Because I am going to totally take advantage of that, because the biggest damage dealers on that thing are the 2 special ones, and the reload on that is completely different than the others.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to have some fun with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only catch is, and this is why I got so many messages today, is this right here should have us seeing our damage go way down in raid targets, and instead we're going to see us remain static or get worse, and that is exceptionally frustrating to everybody, because what's the points? How many points do you need for these things? This
2.5 million.
2.5 million. Awesome. Yeah, great. So 2.5 million before we even get like a token, plus the other special that we want for our base and all that. I mean, come on, man. This is why people are getting frustrated. We're busting our ass, and yeah, you can feel accomplished that you got the stuff, but then I'm expecting a return on that investment, and I'm not getting it. There's no ROI on this. You're getting this and getting 0 return. You're getting a static return, or I mean a negative return, because you lost the time and effort it took to get it. So
yeah, I was assuming the escalation was done with the last raid. I mean, the 3 raid cycle, and you have escalation after the second one. I was surprised by that. I thought escalation would be done by this point, but yeah, it's still going on.
Yep.
I mean, but yeah, it's gonna work. I mean, it's
oh yeah, that's some
significant increase.
Yeah, that's some good numbers right there.
Yeah, but yeah, if you look at it in the forums, that's the non-retrofitted one. So it was like, this doesn't make any sense. So
right.
I went and looked at my base and found this.
Yeah, so that's what I was worried about too when I first started in the forums before the FM started.
Okay, let's move on to some PvP stuff, Dr. Death. All right, we have a turret/building armor that finally addresses the Witch Doctor. This one does not make it to the retrofit yard like all of our other D5 turret panels do. So instead of being 37.1 or whatever it is, it's only 30%, like most of your corrosive armors. I don't know if they plan for it, but it just seems like it would be easier on both the players and the designers to just just have it, be the same as the rest of them, because the numbers are complicated on both sides. But yeah, it has lower defenses than all the other ones. But this is the first time we've seen any armor for the corrosive. So I actually put this as my number one priority, based on the current state of the game. So I slapped a couple of my outposts, slapped some, different places. So
I'm not worried about Witch Doctors at all right now.
Okay. All right. So, all righty. Dr. Death, anything on this one?
Nope.
Okay.
This is why I'm not worried about that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. This is a new special that is increased with your outpost and warehouse. Well, only the projectile speed, which I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes, but it increases penetrative damage by 15%. Has a range of 30, duplicate aura cap of 1, so it's not going to keep on stacking. It appears this one's already looking forward to the refactor a little bit.
I hope so, because it ain't looking for current. That's for sure.
No, this brings back swung the pendulum again.
Yeah. Okay. It's an hour and a half, so I need to go to the bathroom. So I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Seriously?
What?
Oh my god.
What?
Okay.
Well, it's actually the puppy, but yeah, whatever.
Okay. So, I mean, what to say about this?
I think you guys can talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about this. I mean, this
we can
is
talk about
essentially.
the refactor. We can talk about
Go take care of the puppy and get your ass back here. It's your show, not ours.
Okay.
Let's go. Hurry up.
Yeah.
So, this again brings out something that's going to break PvP right before bounty again. So, yay, sure, pirates, I guess, because you're not going to be hitting top tier, bases unless you can really drive your ass off, and I'm not going to be able to do that. Because the only way you're going to be able to mitigate some of these is with the MSC, but then the MSC is then open to other stuff, and then you kind of have to shuffle your fleet through the entire hit. And we've seen that's really difficult nowadays. So yeah, I'm hoping that this is something that they meant to come out with the refactor, not now, because this breaks shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can easily get the penetrative damage up high enough now that it'll just melt a witch doctor.
Yeah.
Unless the witch doctor is stacked up completely against penetrative damage, in which case then any other turret in the base will melt it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, it may have a place in the refactor. That might make more sense. But right now, it's game breaking.
It's stupid that they released it.
Yeah. So, all right. I don't want to get into specifics on this one because there are a couple of specifics that just kind of just suck. But you want to go to the next one? What else we got? TLCs. Awesome. You remember that Katie's that, everyone's like, oh, don't build it or it's not going to be worth anything. Or yeah, guess who can walk through their Devil Driver and Whiplash with a Katie's? That's right. It is probably like even now, even though the cycle has ended, if I had the shards, I'd build a second one right now, honestly. I would spend the 30 days and build a second one just because I know that these campaigns are going to be coming up and these types of campaigns are going to just keep on going. So yeah. And then, map targets. It should be the same as the last time we've seen each one of these. I think, Dr. Death, do you remember if I think it was the mastery rounds on this? People were having some problems getting through them. Is that what it was?
Yeah, but I think that was, and that was on the first alliteration of this. And then remember they brought out the second alliteration of this, which they toned it down. And then we got the mastery alliteration of this, which was for the flagships. And I don't know which one this is, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's the first or the second one.
You're making me twitch, right?
I'm sorry, but I mean that's the truth.
No. I mean, I'm talking about I'm talking about the word that you don't worry about. I'll put it in chat. Yeah, I'd like to know. Like, I mean, I might try and run it later on just to see which one it is. But if I have time, I still have to run the FM and all of the stuff. I might just throw the Katie's in there and just run through it again anyway. Has anybody in chat actually tried this to see which iteration it is? There goes. Rum's already getting on you on it too. Yeah, I don't know. Has anybody actually run this to see what it was? Oh yeah. Oh, so Mike said the last time he did it, he couldn't do it with the one fleet. So, I mean, it might still be. I know that the first couple packs, people were complaining about damage and stuff. And if I remember correctly, it was the mastery round that people just could not finish. It was either they run out of time or the damage was just way too much. So, I would love to see this, especially since we're coming up to the final month for the raid. I would have loved to see this as co-op. I really, really would have liked to see this as co-op because people have got to, like, I know people that are just just getting like their second or third hull done for the raid, and we've already gotten 2 raids done, and for the damage that I'm seeing people taking on this thing, I just don't know that it needs to either be tuned the way it is or be a solo target. Hidden depths, I don't know. I mean, I still use my fang teeth, whatever, for the 200s, but that's about it.
No, but you still want to go through this because it's got the 3-day skirmish build tokens in it.
At the end, yeah, if you can get through the whole thing just for that last part, yes, absolutely.
If you've got Bat Razor, Razor Tails, you can God mode this thing. Literally. I mean, so you don't even have to blind auto the whole thing. It's, but you get those 3-day skirmish tokens. That's why I did it.
Yep. And it is. It's absolutely. Mike actually said too. Yeah, bats walk it. So I've been trying to save those skirmish tokens for. I have this feeling that at some point I'm going to have to refit these things on the fly, or at least the flagships on the fly, and you can't use the regular tokens for those. So I'm trying to stash a couple of them away just in case. So I have 2 or 3 days saved somewhere. But yeah, if you can do the hidden depths, absolutely, for the last one to get the 3 days, get them, hold on to them. The other two, like I said, I really wish I had seen those as co-ops. I really, really think they should have been co-ops, especially since we only have 1 raid left.
Well, here's my problem with the other two, and here's something that Kickside really needs to start thinking about. I think in their future, I hope someone from Kickside is actually listening. When they first came out with these campaigns, I understood the damage in them because they were aimed at the coiners. And that's what they were the week before the raid. Yeah, they were aimed at the coiners, because they were hoping that coiners would do the campaign and grab the other hole that they didn't get in the first, in the raid before the series started, and would coin it out. You know what I mean? So that's what they were aimed at. But then after that, they'd already got the coiners. So why not tone it down so that the lower, the people who coin less or non-coiners would actually have a chance? Or like George says, make it co-op so that the coiners would spend their coins helping other players.
Yeah, they did change the order of the Devil Driver and Whiplash, because originally they gave the special first as opposed to the Hall. So they've changed some things in here as far as the order. I don't think the actual prizes have changed that much, but yeah, everybody do the hidden depths, especially if you have bat rays. Yeah, like Mike said, you can just walk through the whole thing and not prepare at all, and it's really easy with the bat rays if you have decent bat rays. So I put a link on the right hand side. I think they're going to talk about the refactor next. The preview server that was out on Monday, which was live streamed and whatnot. So I assume it's free to talk about. But if you were on there, feel free to jump in first, your thoughts on it. I personally only saw some of the streams associated with it, and my impression was it seemed to take away a lot of the strategy in the game that were currently existing, due to they got rid of the over damage, which is good or bad or whatever. They got rid of the sort of minimum damage, and they also made your turrets and portals and buildings appear that they've been doused in napalm. So yeah, I saw some huge issues. I was not part of it, but if anybody who's willing to, or wants to come in and talk about it, I just don't have much to say about it besides what I already said. But I think the last point I made, that it appeared that everything had been covered with napalm. I think it's part of that. You should be able to prep and hit a base within 5 minutes, which I think was related to players calling the bounty hitting your opponent bases grindy, but carrying that over to the actual base hitting thing, I don't know that anybody wanted. Just people want to be able to hit, oh, I want to be able to hit to 10 bases and or 10, 15 bases in an hour. Is that something the player base wants to wants in the game? I don't know. I mean, it's
I don't know either, but but Hefe, I want to say something real quick on this line that you're going down.
mm-hmm.
The base was not napalmed if you knew what you were doing, but you needed to take the time, and nobody in the test server was taking the time. You needed to take the time to go through and redo every single thing in your base.
Say that again?
You needed to go through your turrets. You needed to redo your turrets. Your turrets needed to be, you need to make tweaks and changes to everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but there weren't a lot of players focused on that. You know what I mean? In the test servers and the streams that we saw, they weren't going through and changing out their turrets and stuff. So the videos that are out there that are available to the player base is showing one thing. But like me and you were talking about before the show, if you knew what you were doing, you could get those turrets to where they were surviving and doing damage.
If anybody hit me while they were streaming, they would have seen those turrets doing the damage.
So
I mean, I had it down.
They do damage. They do damage, but do they also not also appear that they've been covered in napalm? They die really quickly.
Oh, so yes, the turrets themselves, unless I mean, it was kind of like a balance thing. Did you want to spend the power on doing one thing or the other? And you could get them to survive a little bit longer. I mean, I had, and the thing is, it's not just I think part of the reason why people were having trouble was because even in the base, it's kind of building upon one thing upon the other, because if you just relied on the turret itself, it was going to die. If you did some other stuff, on the other hand, like I have one of my gates took forever to kill. And it was just because of the way that was set up and what was around it as well. Some people caught on and killed certain things first before they went and attacked that. But that also automatically gave me a bubble. So it was, it like I said before, it logically makes sense when you go through it. But unless you can actually sit and analyze all of it and look at the big picture, it's going to seem very, very, very complex for people to go through. Over time,
or overwhelming.
Overwhelming. I mean, over time, people are going to get it. Like the top base hitters already innately know and understand a lot of this stuff, so they'll actually pick up on it quicker. And players will eventually pick up on the changes and stuff. The thing is that it's going to be exceptionally frustrating for people at the beginning if it stays the way it was. I mean, there were some things that I absolutely adored. I love the fact that they simplified the stacking bonuses and stuff. That was, I mean, that alone was one of the biggest headaches for people trying to design stuff and figure things out and all that stuff. So,
or getting rid of the 8 stack.
Yeah.
So,
but all I got to say is Kickside is going to really need to seriously think about doing something for the player base when they do this refactor. Because if we got to go through and change our whole freaking base and we got to refit all these fucking ships, you have a lot of pissed off players if Kickside doesn't do something to help.
I think Chris had said in Discord or the forums or somewhere I vaguely remember him saying that they're looking into something like that. They just don't know the feasibility of it because of, people being able to take advantage of it and manipulate it. So, but I know they're definitely looking at that. And I think my guess is for the base, at least the base part, we might see the same thing as when they changed the stacks initially, where it only takes no base parts to do it or a minimum amount of base parts to do it for the first week. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're not going to just kind of throw it out there and then piss everybody off because they know everyone's just going to walk. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I hope that they're going to do a couple more tests because there are things that I had concerns about that like I said, I mean, the good base hitters and stuff, the guys that you see at the top of the leaderboards and stuff, they innately understand a lot of this stuff, so they're going to pick up on it right away. But everyone else is going to struggle. I mean, I was doing numbers most of the last two servers, and I was struggling just to come up with the numbers to see what actually was going on and be able to test certain things. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Okay. So yeah, there's certain things that we were told about. That's what I was trying to bring up as far as the fact that they were trying to intensify the action. I'm not sure what the word is, because already people have a hard time understand, replay or watching their base hits. Understand strategically what's going on, because there's so many things going on with lag, whatnot, and this just sped it up. From what I see, it just seemed to, like there's so many things, more things going on that we can't understand on the general player base. That, yeah, I found it frustrating that stuff dies with because I saw Outpost get one shot, and that's I don't know, maybe two shots. I mean, maybe, there were some things associated with it that I was not happy with as far as the playability of it long term. But yeah, I don't have that much experience with it, so I don't know. I put the link out there on the right-hand side in case anybody'd like to join the show. Anything else before we end the broadcast?
That's about it, I think. I mean, we've covered a whole lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that came out. I mean, I am very impressed that for the most part the consolidation went really well.
Shrinkage. We're gonna call it shrinkage afterwards. But yeah,
sure. Okay. One of the things that I do wish that they would do is come up with some way that we can test stuff easier, because there's so much stuff now, and it's gotten so complicated to do the testing. That's one of the things that kind of takes away from people, trusting a company, is when they can't verify things. And I mean, there are ways to do it. It's just very time consuming. And a lot of us don't have the time to actually do that all the time and play. So I really wish there was a way to actually do that in the live game somehow, to test it, like maybe an NPC target that you could set up to do a practice test on or something. I don't know. Because that would come out real handy. That would be very, very handy. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know Bounty's going to be interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at what is it, like 3.5 million points minimum to for missiles. So yeah, that's gonna suck.
We've had a couple people join the show in the last couple of minutes. I'm not going to call you up by name, but is there anybody that wants to say anything before we go to the after show that you want to say on the live show?
I'm good. I thought I was joining the after show.
Okay, it's all good. It's all good. I'm just making sure, I don't interrupt anybody's freedoms as far as First Amendment rights. So, any parting words from anybody? We've been going on almost 2 hours. So, we're ready.
We good?
We're good.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
And I posted the link one last time. Are you saying something, Dr. Death?
Night, everyone.
Good night. Later, people.